Greetings everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, Captain Ryan. Today's YouTube video has got me in the Perth in the new PvE cooperative battle mode. Yes, that's right, I decided to take out the Perth and give the PvE a try. Unfortunately, I tried this battle mode about 3 different times before I was finally able to win a game. Even though it's PvE, the way the game is set up, it is not an easy game to play, and it definitely relies on people being smart about how they play their ships. Now it says that it requires a tier 5 or tier 6 ship to play. You can't have a tier 7 and you can't have a tier 4. And I highly recommend not playing this until you have a tier 6 that's upgraded, because it's going to be very important. Now, the beginning of this PvE operation starts out by defending the base against 4 ships that are tier 2 to tier 4. So, a fairly easy first wave to deal with. As you see there, I managed to just wreck that cruiser at point blank range because he's going to continue to sail broadside on towards the base. Now, they are bots, so you will see this with every single wave that arrives. But that's not going to make them any less dangerous, as they will fire off torpedoes at you, and they will set you on fire, and they can cause some serious problems for you. One of the reasons I wanted to play this PvE mode was partly to see how it compared to the other cooperative battle mode, the one that we all have to play when we first start new accounts, as well as to see how it compared to PvP as far as gameplay, levels of frustration, team reliance, credit, and XP earn. As well as trying to help people who want to play this battle mode understand a couple of the cool mechanics behind it. One of the mechanics behind this game in this operation mode that I think not a lot of people are fully aware yet, especially not cruisers, is something that I'm headed to take advantage of right now. You see, at the base, there are 2 Liberty ships. Now these 2 Liberty ships inside the base perimeter here will sail out and repair fortresses that have been damaged by the enemy ships. But that's not the only thing that they'll do. Those Liberty ships have a little green zone around them, and that's a repair zone. Any friendly ship on your team that sails into that green zone will begin recovering health regardless of the ship. So if you're in a battleship, you're in a carrier, or you're in a cruiser, or a destroyer, if you just sail back into this green zone, as you can see there, you'll begin to recover HP. And that's an incredibly important thing to remember if you're in a cruiser. Because you're in a cruiser, unless you're in a British cruiser, you probably don't have a repair. So if you end up taking quite a substantial amount of damage, you should consider turning around, leaving the rest of the wave to your team to defend against, and getting back to the base, back to the Liberty ship here, so that you can recover some of, or all of, that HP, and then get back in the fight effectively 100% restored. If you're in a battleship and you've used up a lot of your heals, or you've taken some torpedoes or some citadels, after you've got your heal up, get back here and do the exact same thing. Now, if you're in a battleship, you don't really have to take yourself out of the battle as much as if you're in, say, the Perth, because your guns have twice the range. So here, as you can see, I'm sailing. I'm keeping pace with the Liberty ship while he's moving towards the next fort to repair, but I'm recovering a lot of health. This also kind of works out well for me because the next wave of enemies spawns up over there on the minimap, so I can be in a nice position as they start to push closer to the base to basically break away and go deal with them. The second and third waves of enemy ships are Tier 5 and Tier 6, and Tier 6 to Tier 8, respectively. This is why I say you want a Tier 6 ship, because you are going to have to deal with Tier 8 bots. Granted, they are bots, and they are only cruisers, although those cruisers can cause some serious issues. If you're in a battleship, one of the cruisers that spawns is a Mogami with her 155mm guns. If you've ever had the misfortune of running into one in the wild in a PvP battle, or if you've had the fortune of playing one yourself, you'll know full well that those guns are absolutely capable of setting everything on fire, thanks to their rate of fire and the number of them. Prior to this battle, I played in my New Mexico, and I ran into that Mogami, and that Mogami basically just wrecked my New Mexico. The other thing that's important to note about this PvE operations mode is that you can't play the same ship twice in a row unless you want to wait 30 minutes. As kind of a way to keep people from, well, effectively spamming their best ship, the operation mode basically only allows you to play the ship once in a 30-minute time period, unless you want to pay some credits. Now, that is kind of annoying, but it's kind of a good thing as well. It's going to keep people from just constantly spamming the only Tier 6 ship they have and force you to play different options. But at the same time, it's kind of really annoying, considering unless you win a battle here in this PvE mode, you are not going to make any money. So it's kind of one of those, like, you really want to play and you really want to get that win, but it's not really worth paying those credits to do. Now, I did pay those credits, mostly just because I think the Perth is the best ship for something like this. It's got the smoke screen, it's got torpedoes, it's got reasonable guns. Now, here is the third wave that's coming in, and one of the secondary objectives that you can achieve is to take out all of the ships of this third wave before the main attack starts. This is not an easy task, given that the second wave spawned on the other side of those islands, and a lot of ships push up towards that second wave to deal with them, and they find themselves out of position. Now, as you can see here, there are the cruisers pushing up, and I'm using a lot of my high explosive. In a cruiser in the Perth, because I have the inertia fuse high explosive, this high explosive is doing some pretty serious damage to pretty much everything that's pushing up this direction. I fire off a couple of torpedoes at that cruiser, who is a bot and is sailing in a nice straight line, but the bots will try and dodge torpedoes. However, that's not always going to be the case, and they do seem to be pretty oblivious to smoke screens that are in front of them. So there's now one ship left in the third wave here, and there's not a lot of time before the final attack starts. And I'd really like to get this secondary objective achieved. Now, I've got this enemy Nuremberg that's here, and I've got to be careful because he does have torpedoes, and the bots will use their torpedoes. And there, the torpedoes are coming in. I slow down, turn in, and avoid them just barely. Come on, get him killed. I do manage to kill him, but unfortunately, we didn't meet the objective, and we didn't meet the objective by about 12 seconds. Really disappointed that I was unable to secure that kill before that main attack started. Now that the main attack has started, the primary objective here is to have at least one ship remain alive and to not lose your Liberty ships. And I do believe, technically, you only have to have one ship remain alive. At the 3-minute mark, your reinforcements will spawn, and they will make their way towards the base. And once they get to the base, the battle's over. Congratulations, you've won. But if you want any of the additional objectives, and you do want the additional objectives, because it's PvE mode, and as we'll see with our post-battle results screen, you're going to earn about 50% less credits in PvE mode, and you're going to earn about 100% less XP. So half as much XP and about a quarter as much credit earned as you would in a PvP battle. So if you don't get these secondary objectives, it's really kind of not worth playing this game mode. And it's not worth playing this game mode because it takes so long to play. If you're an average player that tends to die pretty quickly, or you manage to only get maybe 1 or 2 kills and then die, where your average battle length is, say, 10-12 minutes, then this battle mode is really not for you, because it's going to take all 20 minutes to play, plus the queue time, plus the looking at the post-battle results screen. Now here is the enemy Mogami, who's pushing up in the final wave, and I am just managing to wreck this guy with Citadel after Citadel, but you can see even with my 6-inch guns and causing all of these Citadels, I'm having some serious problems killing him quickly. But that's not going to be a problem because torpedoes hit home and finish him off. Now I've got an enemy York back behind him, and fortunately I think the Mogami is the only tier 8 ship that spawns in the final attack. But as you can see there, the team that I'm on has managed to lose a couple of ships. We've lost a destroyer, and I believe we've lost a cruiser. And we've lost them because they're not paying attention to the fact that you can go back to the port and you can get yourself repaired. And while the repair isn't super fast, it is reasonably quick, and it does allow you to recover a good amount of HP. Once you find yourself in the final wave attack, there's no reason to be this far forward. You can really pull back and concentrate, defend the Liberty ships quite well, and stay near the Liberty ships to recover that health. If you're in a battleship, even more so. Hopefully by this point, you've probably used a couple of your repairs, and you've probably taken a little bit more damage than you can repair. So by pulling back to the port, getting close to those Liberty ships, you should still be able to cause some significant damage, help aim and take out ships, while running minimal risk to yourself. Of course, there is risk, though, to the Liberty ships if you're by them, and the reason there's this risk is because the enemy has a tier 7 aircraft carrier. And that's the other reason I say you should consider bringing out a tier 6 cruiser and not a tier 5 cruiser, or a tier 6 ship in general and not a tier 5 ship. And that's because of the tier 7 carrier. Those are tier 7 planes, and they are going to come and they are going to try and wreck you. Tier 5 ships just don't have the appropriate amounts of anti-aircraft to deal with those kinds of planes. The Perth, of course, does not have very good anti-aircraft regardless of its tier, which means you really are relying on those catapult fighters in order to help alleviate the problem. And you are absolutely relying on the friendly carrier, which is not always guaranteed considering the people on your team are randomly selected out of the queue. So that means you can have games where you don't have a carrier on your team to help defend. And again, this goes into the really people need to bring their tier 6s out and not their tier 5s, because a tier 5 carrier versus a tier 7 carrier, well, anybody who remembers what the closed beta was like before the carrier balancing happened is well aware that even a 1 tier difference, or I should say anybody who's ever played a carrier in a double CV matchup might know that even a 1-tier difference in carrier aircraft is a huge difference in their ability to fight and compete. Fortunately, for friendly carrier players in this particular battle mode, it seems like the enemy aircraft carriers don't really have fighters. And of course they are bots, which means their aircraft are easy to go in and deal with. But again, going into the whole side of it, if you have a tier 6 carrier, you should have unlocked the strafing option. So that means you can use that to very quickly annihilate the enemy's aircraft. Now, the downside to pulling your ships back to the Liberty ships here to recover some health, and as you can see there was a very low health friendly ship that needs to get himself back here to recover some health. The downside to that, of course, is that the enemy carrier is all the way up near those reconnaissance stations that have been knocked out. And because he's all the way up there, it basically means that if you come back here to recover some health, you're way out of position to go and try to shoot him. Even if you're in a battleship, the map is a fairly large map, so, you know, I've got 12-kilometer gun range, and there's no way I'm going to be able to deal with that carrier. Hell, in fact, there's a tier 4 that's just popped up that's well outside of my gun range. Still though, finishing off that enemy bot that was getting a little bit too close for comfort, and I start backing up here because he was a little bit too close and he might have some torpedoes headed my direction. Again, bots will fire off torpedoes. They are somewhat competent in their abilities. Now, he fired off those torpedoes not necessarily at me, but definitely at the Liberty ships, and you can see there the Liberty ship taking evasive action and manages to dodge the torpedo, well, one of them anyway. So that's a little bit of a problem about heading back towards the Liberty ships, is that they do tend to take fire from the enemies. And if you're in the vicinity, you can expect the possibility of incoming fire from them. Now, at this point, my team is in reasonable position, and it looks like we might manage to secure victory, as our reinforcements have arrived and they are pushing towards the base. And really, again, all we need to do is have one person survive, and the friendly carrier is, I think, pretty reasonable on HP, and he hasn't really been detected, and he's not really in a position to be detected and have some problems. So, there we have it, victory. Didn't achieve all of the bonus objectives, but that's okay. After 3 attempts, really just want to win the game. Now, you'll notice I won some awards there. I effectively won the PvE version of the Kraken Unleashed for killing 8 enemy ships, or I believe it's kill 5 enemy ships of the same class. 8 enemy ships total, or 5 of the same class, and I earned the PvE version of Confederate for damaging all of the enemy ships. And 140,000 damage done. Top of the team for XP earned at 1,000 base XP, and this is what I say, if this was a PvE battle and I had performed about the same level, Kraken Unleashed, Confederate, about the same amount of damage, I could have reasonably expected to earn over 2,000 base XP, so about half as much base XP as you would earn in PvP, but only about 50% less credits than you would earn in PvP. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you'd like to help support me in the channel, I encourage you to do so by becoming my supporter on Patreon. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email, And if you'd like to watch me play World of Warships, among other games, live, you can do so by following me on Twitch. I'm trying to stream weekday mornings at Pacific Standard Time at about 6 a.m., as well as my guaranteed stream time, Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.